welcome to a new video and also a new loom. So this is my new toy, my new baby, my new boyfriend maybe. There's been a lot of jokes in our household about my new man in my life, David. So David's been in my life for a little while now. It's currently February and he arrived in November. But I've been waiting for David for quite some time, but I will talk a little bit about the road to this loom arriving in my life, why I ended up choosing the Louet David for my new loom. But basically this video is going to be introducing this new loom. I've chosen now to film it because as you can see, I'm between projects. I've had some time to get acquainted with my new loom, but I wanted to film this while the loom is naked so that I can show kind of a little bit more of a close-up of how this loom looks. Because when I was assembling this loom, I was kind of looking for these kind of images of how it was supposed to look, and I wasn't really finding any. So I was hoping to be able to provide also some imagery for people assembling the David III, because this is the Louet David III. But I will put some timestamps in the description. So yeah, let's get into that. So for those of you who haven't watched any of my previous videos, and also for those of you who haven't watched my other YouTube channel, because I have another YouTube channel which I can link, which is in Swedish because I am from Sweden. My other YouTube channel is called Hantverkshärvan, for knitting and weaving in Swedish. So yeah, if you don't speak Swedish, it might not be for you, which is by me and my friend Hanna, where we talk about knitting and weaving. So I think a lot of people have found me through there, but if you don't, my name is Sarah and I'm mainly a weaver. I've been weaving for a couple of years, and I've started out through rigid heddle loom weaving, which is something that I still enjoy, but I've been getting more and more involved in kind of big loom weaving, or floor loom weaving. Multi-shaft weaving, and I've been weaving since 2019, I think, on a Glimåkra 4-shaft counterbalance loom. And that loom you can see in my previous videos. I don't have that many videos on this channel, but there's some, and especially in the my looms video and in the video where I show my the ways that I achieve a good shed on a counterbalance loom, which was my latest video. You can see my Glimåkra loom, but in the end of that loom I also showed that I am disassembling my Glimåkra loom because I'm making space for this new David loom. But what you might also notice is that my backdrop is completely different. And no, I have not moved, but what is new in my life is that I have now a weaving room, which is amazing. It's such an upgrade in my life. But my Glimåkra loom would not have been able to fit in here, even though it's the same weaving width, because just the footprint is just larger than for this David loom. So maybe I should start with why I wanted to upgrade into a different loom from my Glimåkra loom. So yeah, I had my 4-shaft Glimåkra counterbalance loom, which was working great, and something that I really like about the 4-shaft counterbalance loom is the simplicity of the kind of technology. I think it's really charming that the technology is the same that it has been for a few hundred years. However, there's also something charming about technology advancing, right? So things are made easier by technological advance and about the ingenuity of people building looms and advancing tools, the tools that we use. And also I was really intrigued by some of the different patterns and techniques that you can make with more shafts than 4. Especially I kind of fell in love with the look of deflected double weave, and the options for 4 shafts were just like slim to none. And I borrowed an 8 shaft loom, which I will talk more about, and I just fell in love with that technique, and that was just it. That just sealed the deal for me. I just really wanted an 8 shaft loom. So I started to save up for kind of a new multi-shaft loom. The Glimåkra loom I had been gifted, really lucky. This was the first expensive piece of equipment that I would be buying for myself, weaving wise, and it is really expensive, as everyone knows who is in the market for a new loom. Basically the reason was that I wanted to be able to have 8 shafts, and I felt pretty confident that 8 shafts was gonna last me for a pretty long time. I didn't feel that I needed more than 8 shafts at this point. But I wanted 8 shafts, and I also was feeling that the tie-ups on the Glimåkra loom, like the ideal is pretty similar to the Glimåkra standard, and I think similar to a lot of kind of old-fashioned looms, that it can be a bit heavy on your back, and I don't have the best back. Like, I might be young for a weaver, but my back is not the best. I've had a lot of back issues, especially when I was even younger, and it was taking a toll on my back, the tie-up of the treadles, and I, having had tried a modern loom, I knew that it made a world of difference ergonomically. So that was also something that I was really interested in. Like, if I'm going to spend more and more time in front of this loom, this is like making it an enjoyable process for my body is also really important. So these were the kind of main reasons. So then the next question is, which loom am I going to buy? Then I had a couple of options. So the Louet David was a contender quite early, but there was also 2 other contenders, and one was the Öxabäck counterbalance loom, which is a Swedish brand. Not counterbalance, sorry, the Öxabäck countermarch loom. And people here in Sweden was talking really warmly about that. It's seen as like a really high quality kind of end all, like this is the like loom for life, that you like the only loom that you will ever need type of loom. So the pro of that was that people were talking really fondly about it. It's a countermarch, it's supposed to have like the amazing sheds and like weave so well. And it's also Swedish made, which is obviously really great if you are in Sweden. However, downside, as I was mentioning, I was a little bit hesitant about the tie-up and just the amount of tie-up that goes into a countermarch. I was not so sure that that was something that I felt like investing my time in. I felt fine about the sheds on my counterbalance loom. I felt that I'd gotten to a point where I could make pretty good sheds on my counterbalance loom. I didn't feel like that was that much of an issue, and I knew that I could get better sheds on a modern loom that wasn't a countermarch. So I wasn't sure that like that was something that I really needed. And I had heard really good things about the Louet David, for example, not being a countermarch, but still having really good sheds. So like that didn't really sell me that I needed a countermarch. And I've never tried one, so I had not like seen this like groundbreaking difference that it was supposed to make. So then the other option was the Schacht Baby Wolf, or the Schacht Wolf series, not the Baby Wolf because the baby is too small, so maybe the Mighty Wolf, because I got the option to borrow, or like I got the possibility to borrow home a baby wolf, because I know a retailer here in Sweden who sells these, so I borrowed it because she normally takes these to events and fairs, and during COVID there were no events, there were no fairs, it was just collecting dust basically in the basement of her retail space. So I got to borrow it and have it in my house for a while and weave on it. So that was really great. And I really enjoyed weaving on the Schacht baby wolf. However, the upsides, really loved it. It's a little bit like it's foldable, and you can move it easily around the house because it has like wheels on one side, so it's really portable. You can move it out of the way. The tie-up, super easy. Love the way that the tie-up works on that with the kind of rubber bands. But the metal heddles, while I really love threading them, it's so quick and easy. The downside for me was that the metal heddles, they rustle quite a bit, moving the shafts up and down. And while I don't mind the noise myself, since I share the space, first I had it in my living room, even though now when I have a weaving space, I still share my space with my husband's home office, and also like in the evening it's my husband's like kind of gaming. He sits here and play video games and just like hang out in general, so it's a shared space. I want my equipment to make as little noise as possible, and I mean the rustling is probably still less than the kind of creaking of the old loom, but that was a downside for me. That was a shame, because that would have been nice since I know the reseller, and I really like that loom, and especially if you want an even smaller loom, I think that's a good option. The David, I'd heard basically only good things from people who had the David II, and I was really set on buying a David II when I'd read about it. Like, it had the size that I wanted. I was really happy with the size of my Glimåkra ideal, the Glimåkra ideal that I had. So I didn't want to neither upgrade or downgrade size-wise. It's a 90 centimeter weaving width, so that's what I wanted. And the Louet David had that. So that's what I wanted. It had an 8-shaft option, what I wanted. I've heard that the really like ingenious way that this jack loom works, which is a little bit different than a normal jack loom, was supposed to give really nice and clean sheds, and have a really like easy treadling, like be really easy on the treadles. To give kind of the upsides of the good sheds that a countermarch was supposed to give, which like there was the upside of the Öxabäck, but then have the easy tie-ups and not the complicated tie-ups of an Öxabäck countermarch. So I felt like it was really hitting enough of all the pros of the other looms that I'd seen, and like getting rid of some of the cons that I felt. And just as I was supposed to order this loom, the production of the Louet David II stopped, because they were entering production of the Louet David III. So instead of the Louet David II, I ended up with the Louet David III. Isn't he pretty? And of course I'm so happy with this, because I think what I have heard also, this is after I've talked with people after I ordered this. One downside that I have heard about the Louet David II is that someone that I talked to who weaves maybe baby wraps, she said that the one thing that I wish about my Louet David II is that it would be a little bit heavier. So maybe when you like hit, that it would be a little bit like, yeah, heavier, so it wouldn't move. And I guess you can like weigh it down and make like that work. But this, one of the upgrades of the Louet David III is that it has kind of sturdier wood and like thicker beams. And as far as I've understood, the David III kind of takes some of the construction from the spring, the Louet spring, So it's a little bit of a mix between the David and the spring loom. So it's really like nice and sturdy, but with the kind of ease of the David. So yeah, and one of the other really big, like what ended up being a really big upside for me as well, is with the textile pedals of the Louet David. They're the exact same size as the textile pedals of the Glimåkra ideal that I had, which means that I have like hundreds. Like I have hundreds of these, and that's so nice because I mean they're nice shapes, the one I have, and they're not like entirely inexpensive, these textile pedals. So I'm so happy to be able to use my spare textile pedals. Like you get a couple of hundred with these when you buy the David, but then I can just add on like a couple of hundred more. So that was a really like nice upside too. And another upside is that it's made in the Netherlands, so it's not like super far away living in Sweden. It's just kind of like just across the water from me. So it's not shipped across like the whole of the world to get to me. So that felt good as well. I might not be shopping local entirely, but at least it's not extremely far away for this kind of big piece of equipment. And yeah, I mean, Louet, I think it's a pretty nice company. I've had their spinning wheel before, so yeah. I also like that you can upgrade it with the sectional warp beam. I did not do it now, I've never used one, but I like the idea that it's something that I can do. There's like a little something that I can think about for the future. Yeah. And I can also, with the width being the same as I had before, I can use all my reeds that I had since before. So that's how I ended up choosing the David.